So basically this video is about the political party system of Sri Lanka. Now when it comes to Sri Lankan political party system, we can see that it has three unique features. Okay, first of all, it's a multi-party system. Secondly, it's a dominant two-party system. Thirdly, it has ethnic-based political parties. So when I say that it's a multi-party system, that means we have so many political parties. Now we have more than 70 registered political parties at the moment, but it should be noted that most of these parties are actually quite uninfluential. Alright, so out of the political parties we have, the two dominant parties are SLFP and UNP. However, currently with the internal splits the parties have, these parties have sort of faced some internal conflicts, whereas the majority of the supporters and the vote base of the parties, the two parties, have been associated with different names. Now for an example, SLFP vote base and SLFP activists are at the moment working under SLPP, Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, under Rajapakshas, and the official name SLFP is sort of not the exact SLFP. Same happens with UNP. The vote base of UNP as well as the activists of UNP are currently working with Samagi Jana Balawegaya, SJB, which is commonly known as the telephone. So the official two major parties are still there. Basically we still have a dominant two-party system. It's just the two political parties have adopted two different names as a result of internal conflicts. Whereas when you say Ranil Wickremesinghe, he only has the headquarters of UNP and the official title UNP. The real UNP is with Sajid. Whereas when you say SLFP, Maithripala only has the official headquarters and the official name SLFP, whereas the real SLFP is with Rajapakshas now. So you can see at the moment that up to date it is a two-party dominant system with multi-parties. Right. So SLFP and UNP are the main two political camps which are currently functioning under the name of SLPP and SJB. Other than that, you have several other political parties that gets a reasonable representation in the parliament, like JVP, TNA, Muslim Congress, EPDP. These parties are not capable of forming governments, but they manage to get some representation in the parliament. Other than that, you have so many other parties that have endorsed one of the two big parties, right? So for an example, the oldest parties in Sri Lanka, like Sama Samaj Party, the Communist Party, Mahajan Eksat Peramuna, Sri Lanka Mahajana Party, and parties like that kind of parties. Also even some of the minor parties like the Liberal Party of Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Progressive Front. There are plenty of parties like that have endorsed one of the two parties, one of the two bigger parties, that they are not capable of contesting independently. They have no survival outside. So what they do is they enter into an alliance with one of the big parties, right? So those parties are there. Other than that, we have some other parties that they haven't endorsed one of the two big parties, neither that they get parliamentary representation by contesting alone. So these parties seem to be existing, but they are not getting any representation whatsoever, and they are not endorsing big parties either. For some reason they are still functioning. Like example, Mr. Siritunga Jayasuriya's United Socialist Party, Mr. Vijay Dias's Socialist Equal Party, and all that. There are parties like that, but they are just in active politics for different reasons, personal reasons. Other than that, most of the parties created by most of these small parties created by one of the two big parties for strategical reasons. For example, to get more polling booths, to keep a backup list, in elections if their list gets rejected, things like that. Now, for an example, this telephone thing, that telephone that was registered as a party, it was there as a backup for UNPs, and when Sajid Premadas wanted to walk out of UNP, he had this backup party. So some parties are formed as backup parties to get more polling booth candidates and all that. So these small parties have been registered by the big parties themselves for strategical reasons, right? So that's the first feature, that we are a multi-party system. We have plenty of political parties. Secondly, it's a dominant two-party system, that although we have plenty of political parties that in the political arena, and even plenty of political parties getting seats. Now we saw in the previous parliament election 15 political parties got seats in the parliament, but only 2 parties are capable of forming governments. So since 1947, since independence, every single government that has been formed had either been founded by UNP or SLFP. Now what we have in Sri Lanka is a combination of two-party system and multi-party system. We are not like USA, where only 2 parties are solely running the show. That the minor parties do have some influence. They get about like 10 to 15% of the votes, and they do get some seats, and the parliament they play a decisive role. But we are not like France or Germany or Italy or Switzerland, where you have more than 2 potential government makers. So our system is a multi-party system with 2-party dominance, which means that only the main 2 parties are capable of forming governments. However, in order to do that, they need the support of the minor parties. So from 1947 onwards, every government had been formed either by UNP or by SLFP, and there were a few times UNP managed to form a government single-handed, solitarily, without any alliance or coalition. Other than that, every single time UNP or SLFP have got into an alliance, a coalition, to form a government in Sri Lanka. And when we generally analyze the coalitions that we've been seeing in Sri Lanka, mostly the SLFP seem to be having a friendship with the leftist parties quite often, that they seem to be forming governments with the socialist parties like Sama Samaja, communists back then, Mahajan Eksat Peramuna. And recently they had the support of JVP in like 2004-2005. And when we look at UNP, they seem to be having a close relationship with ethnic-based parties in Sri Lanka, and that's where they have been getting their support from to form governments most of the times. And the third main feature is the fact that we have ethnic-based political parties. So we have Tamil political parties like Ilanka Tamil Arasu Katchi, and currently what we have as Tamil National Alliance, that has Ilanka Tamil Arasu Katchi, as well as so many other parties like FLOT, TELO, and all that. We're having EPRLF, EROS, EPDP, so many Tamil-based political parties that are mostly active in northern province. Other than that, we have Muslim parties like the Muslim Congress, All Ceylon Muslim Congress and all that. And we have Indian Tamil parties like the Ceylon Workers Congress, Upcountry People's Front, National Union of Workers of Mr. Palanidhi Gambaram, and all that. Then we have Sinhala Buddhist-based parties like Jatika Hela Urume, Pivitru Hela Urume, and most recently we saw Apaya Janabala Paksha coming up and all that. So simply having a lot of ethnic parties. Even LTT was registered as a political party at one point, and they even had a political wing, although that they never were involved in democratic politics, that they were involved in war and violence instead of getting involved in democratic politics, which makes it confusing for us to whether to categorize them as a political party or not. So that's the summary of the political party system of Sri Lanka.